I think we're live. I think we're live. Are we live? I I think we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Yes. I think. Okay, we're live. We're live, and I'm so excited today. I'm so excited today because we're having another episode today of Comic Journey Influences. We're gonna influence somebody else today. We're gonna influence somebody else today. And who are we going to influence? I'm not sure. His name is Swagglehaus. Swaggles. What the hell is a Swagglehaus? We're going to find out. We're going to find out what a Swagglehaus is today, and we're going to get deep down into the mind of the Swaggle, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be awesome. And first, we're going to play our intro.
Stupid question, that is. What a stupid question.
Trump,
But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
I didn't even ask a question, Trump. Trump, I didn't even ask a question. What the hell? Get out of my stream, Trump. Well. Sorry about that interruption by Trump. He sometimes likes to jump in and interrupt my interviews and tell me about my questions being stupid. I do not have stupid questions. I didn't even ask a question today, and you already tell me they're stupid questions. You're off my stream. You're banned, Trump, from my stream, at least for now, until you show up again. But anyway, let's not let this insanity get us all disheveled today. We got a great show. We got a great guest ahead of time. We got the Kool-Aid Man with us and Mama Kool-Aid too. We got a lot to do. We're gonna have a lot of questions, and just like every time, people, I'm just gonna let you guys know if you got questions, you got comments, I will monitor them at the best I can. I will not be officially answering things until the end of the show. So you reserve your post pounding questions towards the end, or I will somehow put them into the interview. We'll see. I'm not ignoring, only partially ignoring, just making sure that everybody understands that. Okay. All right. So without any further ado, we have our guest, Mr. Swagglehaus himself.
Yo.
Hello. Good evening.
What's going on? Journey, I got to say, I think you have top 1 intros in comic book YouTube land. I feel like yours is like the Marvel logo of comic book YouTube channels.
Just gold standard?
Just the gold standard. I feel like every show should come in that hype. So I definitely approve.
Look at this guy. This guy's a smart guy. He comes on right away and starts complimenting me, and he buttering me up. So now I have to be nice to you.
You don't have to be nice. You know, I'm telling you how I feel.
Well, I truly appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. And just you should wait and see, because when we're doing a contest right now in the Insomniac Comic Book Theater for community members to send in their all custom intros. Oh. And when you see the stuff I've been receiving, it's gonna blow your mind. There's a lot of demented people in our community. You got to see some of the stuff they're sending over.
Yeah,
it's great. It really is great stuff. But all joke aside, it's been well overdue as far as having you on the channel. We've had interaction in the past on different platforms, but we never had an official one-on-one sit down talk conversation. And it's nice to be able to do that with you. I like to do that with everybody in the community. Um, but you in particular, you're a little bit of a rare breed compared
Oh,
to some of the other people. A little bit
like,
of a rare breed, a little bit different. You're one of the people that trouble me a little bit. You give me a little bit anxiety
why? Why?
because I try to dig deep into your caverns and look into your skeletons in the closet, and I couldn't find any. Like,
We got lots of skeletons. I'm sure we can uncover them for sure. But
I trust me, I'm trying. I'm trying to find them, but I am having a hard time. You're actually one of the few non-controversial guys in our community, and I actually appreciate that. It's a nice breath of fresh air to have somebody that doesn't completely polarize people. You're
um,
kind of you,
yeah, yeah.
and people kind of like it for you.
We talked a little bit backstage about this, but at least not yet. I don't think I've totally stirred the pot yet. I mean,
Listen,
certainly
you're gonna
there's
annoy somebody about something. It's
yeah,
always
yeah.
gonna happen.
There,
But you're not the kind of guy that's gonna say, that guy Swagglehaus? I hate him. I hate him. I don't. I've never heard anybody tell me that. I've heard them say, okay,
you should look at some of my comment section, every now and again, but
all right, let me take a look at it and I'll comment on it too. And I'll write on. I never seen anything really bad. Honestly, you got to see. You think you got hate mail? You got to see the stuff I get. Yeah, you got no idea.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you got it good. Trust me, you got it too. So I'm just gonna start off with a very simple question, a very easy question for you, but a question that everybody in the world wants to know. What the hell's a Swaggle House?
Yeah, Swagglehaus. Well, I've told this story only a couple times before, for those who have kind of asked about it. But
I've actually
Swagglehaus,
heard it, but I know a lot of people will still want to know.
yeah. So I'll give the kind of the brief summary. Swagglehaus was my gamer tag name, right? I don't know if you ever play any video games, but obviously if you play video games, you make up a little name for yourself. And then the reason why I came up with it is in my persona outside of my YouTube. In my work career, I work in film and entertainment. And back in the day, I used to direct a lot of music videos. And I did one particular artist. His name was Soulja Boy, if you happen to know who that is. And I was
Yep.
directing his music video, Pretty Boy Swag. And he came up to me and he was like, Mickey, which is my real name. He's like, Mickey, you got swag, man, but you got like nerdy swag, man. You got like a swaggle. That's kind of how he said it to me. So I took that as a compliment, and swaggle kind of became like a moniker that I sort of just would use in my off hours and my video games and stuff. And then Haas is like what I thought was a cool way to say house. So technically Swaggle Haas is like the house of nerd swag. That's kind of like how I came, or that's what I think of my name means. And that's sort of like the history behind the name. So yeah, the House of Nerd Swag is
The House of Nerd Swag.
yeah.
I wonder how your channel would have taken off if you called it that.
I've always thought maybe I can do a segment on my channel, or if I ever do like more live streams that I call podcasts, maybe I could call them like House of Swag or House of Nerd Swag podcast or something like that. So
Stick to Swaggle House.
yeah,
Way
yeah,
better.
still
It's way
stick to
better.
Swaggle.
I like that a lot better. What do you guys think in the chat?
Yeah.
House of Nerd Swag or Swaggle House? I like Swaggle House. I personally like Swaggle House.
Yeah,
It,
thank you.
it has a certain ring to it. Do you prefer me calling you Swaggle House, or do you prefer me call you Swaggle, or do you prefer me call you Mickey, or do you prefer me call me you Swaggy? Like, what would you prefer?
Whatever rolls off the tongue.
I like
I'm pretty,
Swaggle House.
all right, Swaggle House. Just do that, or House.
I like your formal name. Your
Yeah.
full name, Swaggle House.
Swaggle House. That's what people say. Swaggle House or Swaggle House. But technically it's spelled House. But
House.
everyone is like, I'm just gonna say House. And it's
We
like
got to
that's
pronounce it. House.
Yeah.
House. Or we have to say like like with a hard German accent. House.
yeah, House.
Yeah. House. All right. We'll get it. We'll get it good. We'll definitely get it good. But all right, let's get a little into the origins of the Swaggle House. you're not that very different from me as far as how you started getting into this YouTube thing. You started a little bit before me, but not that long before me.
Yeah.
Right around COVID time, I want
Mhm.
to say it was around the time
Yeah.
you were stuck in the house, cabin fever, freaking out, not knowing what to do with yourself. You looked at your comics and you're like, huh, look what I got.
Yeah.
I could talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I think I had that origin story that like you're kind of inferring probably that you had and a lot of people I think in the community kind of had where you're in 2020 you're locked down. I always had a little bit of an interest in doing like a YouTube channel, and when I was the film industry, I mean all industries got hit really hard, but the film industry was like no sets, nothing. So I'm at home literally doing nothing. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe I can make like a film YouTube or something. And then that just sounded like really boring to me. So I was like, I really like comic books. I've been watching some of the other YouTubes talking about comic books. I'm like, that looks fun. I feel like doing that. And just one day just decided, hey, let me make a video. And I don't know, the rest is history from there. Just kind of got on the treadmill and then, never stopped.
But we'll push you towards the comic thing more than
I,
anything else.
yeah, I think it was,
You
I
could
was
have done a lot of stuff. You got the talents to be able to do all kinds of different videos since you have that background. Why comics?
Well, I think it was because it was just a hobby that was different than what I already did, and in my work career, it was like a hobby that felt totally separate, and it was just fun. It was just fun to me, like I just I was already collecting comics at that time, and I was buying and selling some stuff, and so it just sort of had my interest. Like outside of everything work, I was like just obsessed with all things comics. I mean, I'm still sort of obsessed with all things comics, but that was really just kind of made sense. If I was going to do this fun hobby channel, might as well be for my favorite hobby.
And you think that your background in film actually helped you out a lot as far as being able to develop these clips and these videos and organize yourself in a way where it made a lot of sense for you? Maybe a little bit of jumpstart with some other people that might have been just starting?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, I definitely, you know, I've been editing video for a long time throughout my career. So it's like that part of it, all the post stuff, that stuff came pretty natural to me, or I already had a sense of how to do it and record myself. But I also didn't want, like, I didn't want to have to put more effort into it than I already did in my work life. So, at the start of my video or the start of my channel, it was like one take, hit record, drag and drop the edit into the timeline. I don't want to think about cuts. I don't want to think about flashy titles. I don't want to think about shooting different scenes. Just make it as simple as possible. And that was really what it was. But it did help with like the post aspect of it. But even though I've spent some time on camera, like in my work life or doing meetings and pitches and things like that, it was still like a different skill set, like having to like look into the actual thing and speak and not stutter and be succinct. That was like something that was pretty foreign, I think. And I think I didn't appreciate how much of a learning curve there was going to be in that, and just like being able to just confidently talk to the camera like that takes, I don't know how it is for you. I mean, or maybe people are very natural at it, but that is actually something that, I had to work at, especially at the beginning.
Well, I think if you take everybody's first videos, they're way more awkward than later on videos. I mean,
Totally.
if you take your first set of videos, because I started going back
Oh,
through
they're terrible.
through all your problems, I could tell like there's progress. Even though you were a lot more polished than your average person that would come on there, I could tell that you had a little bit more polishing as far as you thought it through a little bit more.
Right. I
You,
did
you
try. I did try to at least come in sort of at least outlining in my head what I was going to say. But yeah, I'd like to think that I've gotten better, because I don't know if I could stomach watching myself. I barely can stomach watching myself in the videos I've made this past week, let alone the ones I started doing, years ago.
Well, the thing is, they say that every person is the biggest critic of themselves. And I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in that. You should be the biggest critic of yourself, because if you can't reflect on yourself to fix your own, um, flaws or whatever the case is, then how are you expecting to better yourself? You want to be able to look back and say, "Oh, I wasn't doing this right. I wasn't doing this right,"
Yeah,
instead of
totally.
being defensive and saying, "No, I'm the best and I never suck."
Yeah,
So you want to say, "You know what? I don't want to suck as much." And then when you don't suck as much, you start actually saying, "Hey, I want to actually be kind of good instead of like not sucking as much." And
yeah,
then you want to get to that point where, hey, I'm good now. That's it. You want to get to that point, yeah, elevations and progress. And that's one of the reasons why I started the whole hashtag look at me thing, because I used to go out on people's channels and call them out when they had really crappy videos
mm,
and say, listen, you got to do this, you got to do this on your video. They would really get upset, really upset. I might have even done it on your videos a couple times, where I would basically say, audio needs to be worked on, lighting needs to be worked on. Meanwhile, I got the worst videos on earth, and I know that,
right.
but I don't care. There's the difference. That was the biggest difference. You have a jackass like me that just gets behind the camera and
Right.
just rants and raves. That's what I do, but that's my thing. I'm not looking for special lighting or anything like that.
Yeah.
I depend on people like you to do the special lighting and give me the good entertainment, and I go on and judge it. That's basically how it works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of that's an interesting thing because like it's kind of your shtick now too. Like, when I watch a Comic Journey stream or video or whatever, like I expect your camera to be, framed like this. Like I don't want to see,
Yeah,
the face. You gotta.
everybody's been made fun of me in the community already by that, so you won't be
But
the first to do the
but it's
hand.
good though. It's good. Like it's your shtick, And then and I think that there's something about that, and you just gotta get the better version of what it is that you do, and it's kind of like you're getting at where it's like, yeah, you just get a little bit better and better and better. Like the thing I always just tell myself is like when I go back and I watch myself speak or a video or something, if I can get to the point of, well, I don't hate it, then I know that I've passed my approval test of my own videos or my own work or whatever.
But there's been like an evolution in your actual channel beyond just doing, you know, good quality content to very good quality content, because I consider you to be one of the more consistent content providers in our community. And I also consider you to be one of the people that actually premeditate and script it properly when you
Mm,
put it together. Because we have a lot of people that are consistent, but their their content is inconsistent,
right.
if that makes any sense. But your content took a shift, especially this past year, a significant shift. You started becoming very technical. You became like a professor.
Yeah.
You started pulling out charts. You started putting out like little pointers. You started becoming that teacher. And what made you take that change? What made you like something click in the swaggle brain and say, you know what? I need to educate the people in a different way. What made you go that way?
Well, yeah, I think that there was like a little bit of that shift. I think it's a couple things. Like, just when I try to think about what can I provide. I always think about my channel and like, okay, the videos I'm going to make today, like, what is ownable to Swagglehaus that he can provide that another YouTube doesn't provide. And I'm not like a comic book dealer, right? I can't do unboxings at the level of Ryan. Like shout out to Ryan, Automatic Comic Books. The stuff that he opens up, or like a Very Gary. I can't open collections at that level, or Bryce Comics. So I have to be able to kind of offer something a little bit different to the community. And I think what I thought I had a pretty decent grasp on was, being able to kind of like look at some of the numbers and analyze the lines, charts, and graphs, and kind of present it in a way that maybe was, consumable enough, and maybe I could make it entertaining enough or funny enough in the delivery that people would kind of enjoy it. So is that element of like, okay, I think this is something that I can offer that's different, and it's also an element of I just wanted to know the answers. A lot of times I just wonder, like, what are the values of like one thing I do is put together the index, and I was just wondering, I'm like, yeah, I know random books go up and down, but like, what about the Silver Age as a whole? Like, how do we quantify that? And I just wanted to know the answer. And luckily, having a YouTube channel gave me some incentive to actually like put in that work. So then it just became a thing of like, okay, cool. Like I wanted to know the answer. I found it out. I have a YouTube channel to share it with people. People seem to like it. And now we'll just keep doing it. So that's kind of the answer to that.
Well, basically, you wanted to know what the significance of this is.
Yeah, 100%. I always want to know what the significance is, you know?
Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen any video from Swagglehaus, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't want to mangle your name. Swagglehaus, we have to say his full name. Um, if somebody hasn't seen a video, you probably have been under a rock. But let's say you're new to the new comic book community, go check out one of his videos. I have his link in the not now. Don't do it now. Watch the video here first, and then go, and then click on the description, and you will go and see what the significance of Swagglehaus is. And that line specifically said time and time and time. I think I used to come on to your videos and actually count how many times you said it.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like, do you have a phrase that you continue to say on the channel? Like I didn't realize that people had picked it up. It was just something that I naturally said, and then people would like kind of point out to me that's like, oh, it's kind of like your catchphrase. And now it's like, well, now
you didn't make a show, like a weekly show, calling the significance of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have these like little quirks or little lines or something like that we say. I don't know what it is I say. I'm sure somebody in the chat would tell me what the hell I say. I say a lot of things. That's the problem. A lot of it doesn't make sense, but you have a good tagline. I like that line a lot as far as what is the significance of this. But when you started pulling out those charts and started doing that Silver Age index, I was thinking to myself, wow, this guy is like taking this like super to another level. Either that or you're out of your mind. Like I couldn't figure out where this was going in the beginning, because I'm like, this guy's pulling out spreadsheets. He's actually how many 100 books you pulled out?
Yeah, 100 on each age for sure. Yeah,
that's work.
It definitely is work. It's definitely work. But luckily, you know, I can put on like a Comic Journey live stream and listen to you guys in the background, and that's what I spend my time doing as I'm hanging out in the streams listening. You know,
well, I guess you're a secret insomniac. That's the thing.
Yeah. People, bag and board when they watch, the YouTube videos. I input data into spreadsheets.
And have you found anything like super profound from your start till now on these charts they've been putting together, as far as something you didn't think you were going to discover, or are all the swaggle rhythms, we'll call them that, like, because you got your own algorithm going on right now with that. Are they all like what you kind of thought they were going to fall in as, or are there any major surprises?
Yeah, I think that there were definitely some surprises. Like, when I started it, I can't remember how long ago I started it. Maybe like 6 months ago or 7 months ago or something. I did the first one, and I think like after month 2, it became kind of obvious to me that like every comic, no matter the grade, no matter the key, was going to go back to like hovering around or like slightly above its 2020 price, say like 10 or 15% higher than whatever it was selling for in 2020. And I think for me, it was like, I felt like, I was looking into the future with that, where I was just like, just looking at the clock. Like if a book hadn't dropped yet, I was like, there's going to be a moment. And then, there would be people on Instagram that would post like, I can't believe like Hulk 181 reset to this price. Like what happened? And it was just like, well, it was going to happen. Like it just, dread it, run from it, destiny still arrives, the Thanos line. Like, and so I think that was something that was really interesting, where it just became clear. And I think, and that has like, it had nothing to do with the particular key, right? It just because it was AF15, like you would think, oh, well, AF15 surely will never correct or never pull back or whatever. And that was something that was interesting. That's like the macro factors had more to do with the values than any one particular book like being popular. And I thought that was kind of a profound thing. And then I think just sort of seeing, how comic books can be seasonal. If you look at the months, like,
Mhm.
and these are all things that, like, when you step back and you think about it, you're like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, people spend more money in the springtime, kind of going into summer when maybe there's that Marvel tentpole movie like Doctor Strange coming out and whatever. People are just more free with their wallets. And then, in the fall time, in October and November, people don't buy as much because they're focused on holidays or whatever else they're focused on. And so I thought that was kind of interesting to see some of those trends.
And were you like an active collector during the '90s during our the other meltdown that we had as far as that was a real meltdown. That wasn't a correction. That was like a complete
Yeah.
perfect storm
Yeah,
on all
totally.
levels.
I mean, my thing is, like, so I was, I started collecting. I'm one of the people that, like, came off of the, Batman '89 hype, right? Like, my dad took me and my brother to see that movie, and then we probably went straight from the movie into a comic book store after that, right? So, like, 89, 90, 91, that I lived through that in my youth, that whole time. And then I think whenever that really tapered off, 94, 95, whenever you'd want to say it really, turned the corner, I think I just kind of checked out at that time. I was already going into middle school by that point, and then high school shortly thereafter. So kind of like people do, you do kind of get in and out of it as you kind of, grow up and get other interesting things in life. And then, my journey had been from there. I got back into it a little bit in like 2005 when Mark Millar did Civil War. That just, like, caught my attention. So I was doing a lot of the reading on some of the stuff that was going on at that time. And then I kind of had one foot in, one foot out. Didn't really buy too much, but I would read from time to time. And then it was really in 2017 when I got back into it, like, in a really big way. And then,
So basically, you were too young at that point to realize the real FOMO and the real fear that happened at that point. So you weren't out buying 200 copies of X-Men #1, and
yeah, I mean, at that time, my dad was like, "Oh, we did buy a couple copies. Like, we had, like, a couple ASM 360 ones and, like, Spawn ones and things like that." Cause, the thought was like, "Oh yeah, maybe they'll go up in value." So even when I was a little kid, I wasn't doing any of the buying, but, like, we bought like 2 or 3 copies and stuff like that. So there was that. And I didn't really realize that it had crashed, but as opposed to, like, I think I just stopped thinking about comic books, and then
yeah, you were
eventually,
just kind of it wasn't your thing anymore, and you
yeah,
were too young to even care about that stuff at that point.
exactly. Like, the short boxes just went in the garage, and then I just forgot about them, after that.
So you started opening up those short boxes again in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I would say 2005 for sure was probably the first time I, dusted off that old Darkhawk #1. That was pretty fun. So I
Okay, I'm,
never,
I'm gonna stop you there. But why Darkhawk? Why the hell
well,
Darkhawk? You are the most avid Darkhawk fan I know throughout the community. Why?
it
Why?
be,
Tell us.
I was a young, impressionable little kid, like I said, at that time, in 89, 90, 91. And I think the first few comics I bought were Spider-Man ones. And I think at that time, like, Bagley was doing it, and there's a cover. I always forget the number, 352, something like that. And there's a cover, and Darkhawk is on it. And I was like, "Oh, who's this character? He looks pretty cool." And I just thought he looked cool. And then I discovered Darkhawk, and I bought his, like, #1 issue, and then I just was really into him after that. I think it was just, the it's like the little kids do. They fall for the aesthetics. The costume just looked cool. He looked like a ninja mixed with Iron Man, and that worked for me. I'm such an edgelord.
With like a medieval mask with a pointy thing in the front and ROM features. It was like, I was like,
Yeah,
what is this guy? But
yeah,
hey, listen, we all I got some weird characters that I'm really like into. So, we each get our weird one. So there you go. That's your weird one.
yeah. He,
Um,
he is my weird one, and all these years later, as I've discovered, I didn't realize that Darkhawk was the meme in the comic book industry. It's like, when I came
there
back
you go.
into it,
Ozzy is with you to the moon. There
yeah,
you go.
Ozzy knows what's up, but it's funny just coming back into collecting, because I didn't realize that he was the joke of the collecting community, I just came in thinking like, oh, I bet all my Darkhawk books are worth a fortune.
You know what it is? He could have not been a joke, but he was so blatantly made in the 90s.
Yeah,
And anybody that was a little old enough to realize it as a cash grab, that nobody
totally,
really gave any credence to the character.
totally.
Because there was a lot of characters like that at that time period that were made, whether it was Darkhawk, whether it was Sleepwalker, whether there was some other characters that were just made with a custom 90s look
Yeah,
and with the incentive, let's make some money.
yeah,
And
totally.
you can see right through it.
Yeah, and all the Spawn characters too, right? Like Shadowhawk and whatever those like the image characters. And for sure, I would imagine that if I was, 6 years older, or I was, in my teens at that time, I probably would have thought the same thing, that this character was ridiculous, and clearly he's very derivative. Like even I can admit that, they just took a bunch of other characters and slapped them all together, and out came Darkhawk.
Hey, I heard that the series that recently had come out, what was it, last year? Last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was not as. It was a little different. Character.
I thought it was pretty good.
I picked number one because I didn't want to lose out. I didn't want to. I had FOMO. I didn't want to be the guy that didn't have that Darkhawk number one and didn't make gazillions of dollars. So I did buy number one.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
I haven't read it.
You don't need to read it. I mean, it's a good story. You can read it on digital, but
I can't read it because if I open up one page and I bend it, then it's over.
Exactly.
It's not worth anything then.
That's why you have to. That's why, yeah. Now you have to buy 2 copies, one for reading and one for going to the moon.
Exactly. You still collect like that? Do you buy multiple copies? Do you still read, or are you buying it solely for the collecting purpose?
I mostly just buy. Yeah, I buy mostly for the collecting purposes. If I do want to read stuff, I read everything digitally, which, is kind of a shame because I would actually like to enjoy reading floppies. But there's, I can't get over the fact that like you just mentioned, like, I don't want to bend the page. Even though I'm never going to slab this and I don't actually think that this is, going to take me to the moon, I just still feel like I don't want to damage this floppy. And so that might, that's one of the problems with floppies, to be honest.
Are you anti-slabbing books?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. It's funny. I don't know why I became like, part of me I feel like in the YouTube space, I became like the flag bearer of raw comic books. And then people like to tease me when I get slabs and stuff, but I've never been against it. It's just sort of, not everything has to be slabbed for me.
You're not looking to get your entire collection slabbed because
you
don't want to be financially bankrupt by slabbing every single book for no reason.
Exactly. It's just not everything is worth slabbing. That's just
that's what happens when you speak to the professor. He actually does his homework and he has his spreadsheet and tells him this is not worth slabbing, so I'm not going to do it.
It's true.
You have people that slap literally everything. And teach their own. I say to each their own. You do whatever the hell you want, but I'm with you as far as I do the stuff that makes sense to me to slab it, or I just buy it slab. Even better. I don't have to deal with CGC because I have a vendetta against CGC and CBCS and all of them because I hate companies that don't have accountability. Have you ever had any experiences with them?
I mean, I've sent it to CGC a couple times, and I've been, so far the experiences I had have been pretty good. But I do see, of course, a lot of the criticisms and a lot of the mistakes that they make, especially in the bigger story stuff, like the acetate book or, the BTC, the Superman one and things like that. And those things seem, silly and kind of ridiculous to me. And I question, some of the conflicts of interest with the companies, but as far as their, my particular experience sending books in, like it's been okay with me, but
it's like I called in the grading police. As soon as I said something, this guy pops in out of nowhere.
Oh yes. Tony, EGS. I still have an EGS book. Tony, I haven't forgot about you, but I was supposed to do something with Journo and I'm waiting on him.
I'm actually going to be speaking to Tony in the near future as well. I'm going to have an interview with him as well. I already reached out to him. He confirmed that he wants to participate. I don't know why, because he knows I'm not going to be easy on him. But he's actually, I like what he's doing as far as
Oh yeah.
getting a competitor out there, another viable thing. And the thing I like about his company the most isn't, I'm not, listen, Tony, if you're listening right now, I'm not doing this to blow smoke up your ass, but what you're doing, you keep doing it. I don't care if the book is a 9.8, a 9.6, a 9.9. You put graders notes, and that's a big deal. The
Yeah.
fact that you do that adds so much legitimacy to your product over everybody else's product. Everything else could be worked with, cases, all this stuff, whatever. It's all material. That component itself gives transparency, and people know what the hell is inside that case. And that's a big deal for me. And that's one of the biggest pet peeves I've had with the larger grading companies.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not about that. It's not about Tony. It's about you, Swaggle. So we're
Oh,
going to continue. So I get sometimes sidetracked. I apologize. I apologize about that. But, sometimes we got to go on a little rant,
yeah.
about things.
Yeah. I love rants.
So I really believe that, like I said before, it's funny, like I'm hearing all this stuff, acetate gate and stuff like that, and I'm telling you, I'm still trying to dig to find that dirt on you, and I can't find it, and it is so incredible. But I did find something. I did
Okay.
find something. There was one thing
All
that
right.
you did that made, well, part of it I'm like, oh, this guy, I feel bad for him.
Oh, I know where we're going
And
here.
then the other part, I'm like, what a freaking moron. Why did he do that? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to feel about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Oh yeah.
So for everybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, there was a situation where Swagglehaus got into a real, it was a high priced trade, right?
Yeah.
It was a high price. So your average comic book collector doesn't have these kind of comics to be able to trade them. It was a good amount of trade, and you sent out a hefty amount of stuff. You want to continue and tell everybody the story, or do you say the story? Because I'm gonna just say a couple things after you
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. I'll do the story and then you give the commentary here. But yeah, in case people didn't see it, I had organized a trade where I was going to get an X-Men one, and I was sending over some books to equal sort of that value. And I got involved with a guy who I thought was legitimate. We had worked it out. We spoke on the phone and sent off the books, and it turned out to be a scam. He got my books. The book I was owed did not come the other way. And from that point, I made a video about it, kind of sharing my experience of the scam. And I think, like, at least at that particular time, it definitely was a big conversation within I think the community, the comic collecting community, and it was really me just kind of putting out that sort of cautionary tale, which is still sort of ongoing, and maybe we'll talk about that. But yeah, I did a stupid thing, and maybe Journey, you can tell me how stupid it was, or how stupid you felt it was.
Oh, it was very stupid. That goes on. Listen, people like to say there's nothing stupid. No, there was a bad move. It was a bad move. And I'll tell you why I think it was bad. Well, the trade was consisting about about $5,000 worth of books.
Yeah.
Okay. And the person, how far away from that person were you?
They're in Chicago.
Chicago. So how much would a flight would have cost to get to the person?
Oh, I don't know. Let's call it
100?
250 to 500
round trip.
Yeah. Or I don't know, round trip. Let's call it 500 round trip. I don't know.
Maybe you would have gotten cheaper, but let's call it 400.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So let's say it would cost you 400 to ship it insured over to the person. Cost you what, 60, 70 bucks?
Yes.
To actually insure it properly?
Yes.
So you would have basically paid roughly about 300 to 350 more to travel back and forth and actually get the books in your hands.
Yeah.
To actually get the books in your hands from a person you don't know, from a hole in the wall, that just made a trade with you, that potentially may or may not send those books to you, that send you I had a situation where somebody sent me a box of crap, like little crap, like it was like old garbage inside the box
Mm.
from eBay with a label, and I had to fight for eons with eBay to tell them that it was crap that I got in the box and not a real comic. So
Right.
I had a little bit of experience in that, but at least I got it through eBay, and I was able to get my money back from there. You
Right.
sent the guy the money,
Right.
or no, I mean you sent them the books. You didn't even send the money. You sent them the books, so you have nothing in recourse to hold back.
Yeah.
That's a leap of freaking faith. You have either you, I'm not gonna call you. I'm joking with you. It was a moronic move, whatever. You're either very very naive or very trusting in the world, in the goodness of the world. Maybe it's my New York mentality that I'm like, I don't trust anybody. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna, here you go, give me
Yeah.
a back, goodbye.
Yeah.
That's my mentality, especially somebody I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever done something like that before, where you actually sent that kind of stuff over to somebody that was like a?
No, no, not at that level. Not at that level. There were some things though that mutual comic collectors and interactions and stuff that made me feel like this person was trustworthy, which I didn't really specifically say in my video about it, but there was a thing that I left out to protect someone I know and everything. And so it was like,
Well, you had people vouch for the person.
I had one person just say like, yeah, well, something. And so it was still sketchy though, because it wasn't like a ringing endorsement. It was a one thing, and I was talking to some people about it and be like, yeah, I was thinking about doing this. What do you guys think? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe it's stupid, but maybe it seems like it'll be fine. So I don't know. I had talked myself into it either way, but yes, it was a mixture of over trusting and maybe a little bit of naiveness as well.
So you were hesitant even at the moment that you were actually sending the stuff over.
I was like, I hope this works. I hope this works out. It wasn't like I wasn't, smelling roses on the way to the USPS. I was like, maybe this is risky, but I think this is going to work out. That's how I felt.
I've noticed that there's a lot of like faith and trust in the comic community, because especially when I first jumped into this, I was hearing little stories, little rumors from people here and there. Oh, this guy screwed me. This guy screwed me. This guy didn't send me the wrong book, or they told me it was this grade and it was an 8 and it was a 2.0 at the end of the day, or whatever the case is. All kinds of crazy stuff I heard from people. Or I paid the guy, he never sent it to me. All kinds of crazy stuff I heard. That's why I don't buy off of IG and stuff like that. Sorry to the guys that sell on IG and stuff like that. Unless I know you, unless I really know you, or you're close enough to come so I could come and kick your ass if you try to screw me, I'm not buying it from you. Because I'm not. I'm just not.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, that's the other thing too, is, I happen to send books, but like, I mean, just imagine how many transactions are happening in comics every single day with people paying friends and family. Like there's no protection if people are paying friends and family. Now, it seems like 99% of it works out okay, but all it takes is one bad trade or one instance where someone who could be completely reputable and has done a trade multiple times, they could just one day say, yeah, I'm over it, and walk away, so it is a risk. It is definitely a risk.
It's a scary thing. Reputation is a major thing. I mean, Rob hit it right on the head. That reputation is everything.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good reputation and you're not known throughout the community for doing the right thing, what do you have left at that point? There's been instances of people that have screwed people within the community from the YouTube circle. Then they disappeared, went to the IG circle. Then they disappeared from there and went into the Facebook circle. And they do that. And people need to see that. But what I do like about what your situation is, it looks like everybody gathered around you and try to help you out in the best way by trying to sniff out this guy or trying to track some of the books. One of the things I never understood completely is there were a couple of the books that were recovered.
Yes.
How were they recovered? Like through an eBay sale or from another type of sale? Like I didn't understand what kind of sale that was that they were recovered from.
It was on OfferUp. If you know what OfferUp is, I think OfferUp is connected to Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
But basically, when I put out the video, it was like, yeah, one, I was overwhelmed and incredibly lucky that there was a lot of people that were willing to, put in time and effort to help me out. So I'm super, super fortunate and super thankful to all the people that helped out. But when I had made that video, someone found it on OfferUp. They just spotted that, like, oh, these look like they're yours, up for sale right now on this guy's account. So that was kind of, somebody out there in the community found it and people were sending it to me. So that's kind of,
So my question is, how did they take possession of those books? Like,
so
did they actually buy them and give them to
yeah,
you?
so their story is that when I sent it to some guy, the guy who scammed me, and the guy who scammed me, as soon as he received it, he put them on OfferUp, like in Chicago somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's talking to me the whole time, being like, "Oh, I don't know what happened to my book. I'll get a blah blah blah, whatever." He's keeping me occupied, and he happened to sell it to some other person on OfferUp while he was still talking to me. And so this other person bought the books because he just saw them. And he was like, "Yeah, that seems like a good deal. I'll just buy them." So this other person is the guy who ended up with my books, and then he ended up putting his listing together, and those are the ones that got spotted.
So the guy that put him up after he got him from this guy,
Mm-hmm.
so the third party,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's the second party, the third party. I'm just trying to keep track of the parties.
Yeah.
Put him up after purchasing them, and then they got confiscated, or did they offer them to you directly?
No, he still has them.
Oh, he still has them in his possession.
Yes. Yeah.
He's not giving them up because he bought them.
He bought them. He's not going to give them up. He was like, I still owe another video to close it all, but like, there's still some things that are ongoing, but kind of where it stands is he still has them. He offered to sell them back to me for what he paid them for, what he says he paid them for, but he never really showed me proof of what he paid them for. And at that point I was like, I'm not going to buy my own books back. There's things, there's like so many elements going into it.
Yeah, I mean, you lost the money. You're going to pay it again and possibly lose it again. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense to do that.
So
you're not as naive as I thought you are. You're clevering up, young Swagglehaus. You're becoming more cynical.
My cynicism meter is leveling up. So my heart is black now, and I will no longer carry smiles on my face in comic books. No. So
I can't see that not happening, but I can't see that you stop smiling. But it's horrible that people try to screw at each other like that. And the authorities, I'm assuming they can't do anything about it. That the guy has it under his possession. Because,
well, I mean, it really just depends. Like, I'm talking to a detective, but it's like I'm pretty low on their priority, so he's working on it, but it's takes a while, and so that's why it's like there hasn't really been much of an update. And I have a private investigator doing stuff too, so it's in the works. I think ultimately what would happen though is he would have to give the books back to me eventually, because his grievance is with the guy who he bought them from, which is the guy who scammed me.
Which sucks. It really does suck, because imagine you're the person that bought stolen books.
Oh, it's terrible. Terrible.
And who knows? I don't know what kind of money he paid the guy, or says he paid the guy.
Yeah.
Or even if he didn't, maybe it's the guy's cousin, for all you know. And he's pretending that he's selling them and he bought them. Who knows what the case is?
Who really knows? Like again, I've been really civil and nice to the guy. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. I think it's funny because he's like, from his position, which I understand, he's a little skeptical of me. Like, and I've been like, I have a YouTube channel. You can watch it. You can confirm who I am. And he's like, just not interested in that. But so he doesn't know if I'm like trying to scam him or whatever. And really, I just said, look, I'm not going to buy them back yet. And I'm not going to insist that you send them back to me, because I'm going to go through the legal process and we'll see what happens. And that's kind of where it stands.
That's crazy. It's a crazy like rabbit hole and nightmare to get involved with. Sorry you have to deal with it. I
Yeah.
am happy though they did bring it out to the public because I'm sure that it might have felt a little embarrassing to you to come out and say something like that.
Oh,
Like,
1000%. I was like, I was like, I don't need to share this. I could just not share it.
and nobody wants to be the seen as the victim. Like you don't want to be that guy
Yeah,
that is victimized.
yeah.
But at
But
the same time, you did something good for the community, actually bringing it out because there's a lot of other people like you that got affected.
yeah, well, that was the hope. That was the hope. I mean, like, my thought was maybe I can, the silver lining can be, someone learned something, or this prevents one other comic collector from doing something like this in the future, that prevents them from getting scammed as well. And Ozzy, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but shout out to him. Like him and some of the other people that I talk to somewhat regularly, they were very, very encouraging of like, you should talk about it, you should make a video. Because I was telling them, I was like, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed about it, I don't really know if I want to share this. And they're like, no, just do it, it'll be good. I think it'll be good for the community to see something like this. And that's really, they kind of gave me the push to like make the video, put it out there, and just share the story.
I think I myself, along with everybody else that saw that first initial video, could tell that you were feeling awkward on that video as far as how much you really wanted to talk about it and like how comfortable you were about it. And yeah, I do get that you couldn't say everything that was involved in it, and you still can't say everything about it. But I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. I'm sure that a lot of the people have thanked you for doing that in the past as well. And like it was, I wish it was something that they could pinpoint it in a different way. Now these books could potentially get cracked open at one point or whatever they can get and disappear forever. But
I was actually shocked that he didn't crack them out. I mean, I feel like that's step number one in scamming school.
Because usually some thieves are stupid.
That's the other thing.
Most thieves are stupid. Actually, that's how they get caught.
That's true. Yeah. It was wild to me that he didn't do it, but it was a very interesting experience, and still sort of ongoing. And but again, I think the other takeaway I have with it too, which is a thought I haven't been able to kind of like put out yet, because I've been hoping that there was going to be some closure and I could do a video about it. But the idea of like $5,000 sucks. It's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's okay. Like, and I think one of my big takeaways is like, we buy some expensive paper, we spend some, this is a fun hobby, but we spend a lot of money, all of us collectors. And I think it's important to remember, they're just comics too, don't buy what you can't afford to lose with some of the stuff as well.
That definitely goes well. I say, speaking of which, you don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable. Did you have everything insured at the time?
No.
Do you have them insured now?
Yeah.
Okay, so in a case where you were insured, would that have covered you?
It's a good question. I'm just learning about the whole insurance side of it and doing it with the coverage that I got. So I really, I talked to the agent who kind of set me up with it, and I assumed that it was going to be covered. I kind of told him a little bit about my story, but I really just focused more on the like, here's what I have now, and I'd like it to be insured for theft and things like that. So it's kind of, I assume it would be covered, although I'm not really sure what my specific case would have been in an instance where I'm sending it, through mail, would that have disqualified it? Because it kind of fits under the umbrella of like homeowners insurance now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert. I can't really speak to it, but I think
that's a good thing to know, though.
Yeah,
going forward, that's actually a great video for you to do. Talk about insurance once you get like all the details. I've been like looking into it for myself as far as how to be able to do it for years. I used to like have a secondary rider on my home insurance, but now I'm looking into separate collector's insurance that have in place. But that's a great video that it could educate people in a way where I don't think a lot of people talk about. You
Yeah,
know, a
that's
lot of
true.
people they like to talk about the speculation aspect of it, about the grading aspect of it, of the restoration, cleaning, pressing, etc., etc. But they don't really talk about the true financial, preservation of their collection.
Yeah.
And insurance is a very big deal about that. The only reason I say you should do it is because one, I don't want to do it. It's too much work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think you'd be great as a person to actually do something like that because you're so technical when it comes to how you go about your videos and it kind of anal when it comes to the details. And I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that would help out people a lot.
for sure. I think if I did do it, I think I might just have to bring somebody on and have a conversation with it because I don't know if I could speak to it as efficiently as I because I'm still just learning all of it. So
Oh, without a doubt.
maybe bringing somebody on and having a conversation about it, that would be probably one of the better ways to do it. I know that there's dealer insurance, and there are some people that know this stuff, and I feel like if you're selling books and sending out a lot of stuff and buying a lot of stuff, and you have a lot of stuff going, mail, I think the dealer insurance gets you covered, and that would be another video that would be kind of maybe interesting to talk about.
See, there you go. Journey just gave you a wonderful idea to make a video that will make you gazillions of dollars on YouTube.
Yeah.
Gazillions of dollars, and you could be YouTube rich. And who do you got the Kool-Aid man to thank for that one?
Yeah.
That's the free one. I'm like a drug dealer, so I give you the first one for free. But then when you come back for more, you got to pay for them. So
all right. Well, if I make that video and it gets millions of views, I'll definitely tap into the drug again.
yeah, you're gonna have to start drinking the Kool-Aid again. So
yeah.
we'll get to that when you actually get there. No, it's a great. I think that you're the perfect spokesman for something like that. Just because of your approach and that kind of thing, and just thinking about it. But speaking of gazillions of dollars in YouTube, so what's your plans with YouTube? Are you going to become YouTube famous, YouTube rich? Is that what the Swagglehaus empire is aiming for?
Yeah, that's a good question. What is Swagglehaus? I mean, it's been something that, like I said, was sort of started as a hobby channel, and it's kind of grown a little bit, and it's kind of become a thing that is something I can still manage with my career, doing it on the side, and where it goes from here, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I do work in film and entertainment, and I've started to have like my world sort of cross paths a little bit where I feel like I can start to bring some of my creative energy into the channel. And I do have comic books that I've written, and I haven't really done the official announcement yet, but I do have a Kickstarter that is going to come out at some point in the future soon, probably in the next couple in the next couple of weeks. Actually,
get breaking news here.
I've mentioned it very, very, abstractly at different times and stuff, but I think in the next couple of weeks I'll be coming out with it. So that's really like as far as like what kind of business ventures can Swagglehaus be? Maybe I can be a little bit of a publishing company for my own sort of creative work and stuff. And I think that'll probably be good enough for me, at least for now, with it.
Now, when you say a publisher for your own kind of stuff, I mean, do you actually write and draw yourself, or
yeah, I wrote it. I write screenplays and things like that.
All by yourself, no help, nothing. It is all perfectly Swagglehaus IP.
This is me. This is me writing it, sitting in front of the computer and bleeding at the keyboard until the page is filled up. So me writing it, and I did get an artist to draw it for me. I don't unfortunately have that skill set. So it's something I'm super excited about.
That actually is very exciting feeling. We're not that different when it comes to that, because I'm trying to actually put together something on my own.
Oh, nice.
I'm a little bit more ambitious and stupid as far as the way I'm approaching it, because I'm writing it, drawing it, lettering it, inking it, and then self-publishing it all myself.
Wow, that's a full auteur.
It is a beast of a challenge.
Yeah.
It is a pain in the ass. And if you have very, very little talent, it makes it even more difficult. So I'll get there. I'll be done. I promised my kids. Basically, this was a promise to my kids. They found a lot of my old stuff that I used to work on. and they kind of goaded me into like, why did you never continue? Why didn't you do this? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna put together something. I'm gonna publish it. It might suck. It might be great. People might like it. They might not. I might be stuck with 3,000 copies in my house that's going to use as door stoppers. But whatever the case is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like that's that right there is motivation enough, just to say you did it.
Have you gotten involved at all in that whole exclusive game as far as getting up your own covers done and anything like that?
No, yeah, no. I mean, I like, again, for me, it's like creatively, I don't want to knock like exclusives or anything. I mean, I on my videos from time to time, I always like kind of with a wink and a smile, I tease exclusives here and there. They're not necessarily for me, but I understand why people like them. And I'm not here to tell you what you guys should buy or collect or whatever.
So you're
But
not a big proponent of variant covers, like a million of them?
yeah, I'm not super into that. And I think like, creatively, I think I could strive for more, than just pointing an artist to a inspiration for a certain cover, that of a book that I didn't write. Like I think I would want to do a little bit more, myself, which is why I wrote the comic I did.
I kind of feel the same way. I've had people approach me as far as uh, either being part of a group that invests towards an exclusive cover or to hire a good artist to do something. And I just don't want to be part of that thing. It's great, and I do support some of our community members that have done exclusives just to support them, not necessarily because I like the comic or necessarily because I like the idea of them making a variant cover. It's just to support them. I'm more supportive of people that actually drew that variant cover.
Yeah. And I get that. And I think, like you said, I feel the same way. I mean, but I think it's great for retailers, like to be able to kind of try something different and do partnerships and create opportunities for artists and that side of it. But I'm not a retailer. I fancy myself a creative. So like I want to write my own stories and things like that.
So you have no aspirations of ever opening up your own comic shop and becoming the big franchise throughout the U.S. as far as Swagglehaus Comics?
Not at this time. Not at this time.
So
maybe I'll change my tune one day, but for now I don't see it. I don't see it in the cards.
You're not dismissing it though, so there is a chance.
Well, I wouldn't rule out anything. That's the thing. It's like I don't want to never say never.
Hey, never say never, but I'll tell you something. When it comes to brick and mortar, that's a road I don't know if I want to take on.
It's
a tough road in the future.
It's a whole other thing. It's a whole other industry. It's a whole other beast. And it's not something that I personally want to pursue.
I've recently discovered, got a very startling statistic that we have roughly under 2,300 LCS brick and mortars still left throughout the United States.
Oh, wow. To put it into perspective, what would it have been, say, 5 years ago?
Well, at our peak, we had about 12,000.
Oh my God! When was the peak? Do you know?
Probably at the late 90s somewhere.
Okay.
But I do know that about 300 closed down during pandemic and never reopened.
Yeah.
So you're getting boom, 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 boom increments.
Yeah.
I mean, they've adapted, and I mean, there's online stores that are existing now that didn't exist before. So there is an evolution. But going to that comic shop and having that brick and mortar feeling and smell of those nasty, moldy comics, you're not going to have that anymore. The way we used to have it.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I feel like the experience is part of the fun of it. And it would be a shame if they didn't exist. But maybe there will be different models for what LCSs are. I mean, they're already, hybrid pop culture stores, or kind of what they're sort of turning into. And maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. As long as you have back issues to dig through,
as long as there's avenues to be able to get what you want to get.
Yeah.
It might not be your cup of tea or your preferable way to get it, But at least if you have a vehicle of being able to obtain that stuff, at least that's something.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. We'll see where it's going to go. I personally, this is my prediction. I'll probably be dead before I get the chance to realize if I'm right or wrong. But I think when Generation X dies, the way of comic collecting as we know it is going to be dead. I think
Yeah,
we're the last breed. Generation X is the last generation of collectors that value hard copy comics in the way that we do, getting entire long boxes, entire collections of stuff. You're still going to have people that are going to be purchasing uh your Grail books. There's always going to be the hunters for the Action Comics 1 and the Detective 27 and the AF 15, etc., etc. But you're not going to have the ones that are hoarding 10,000 books in their garages and stuff like that.
yeah.
That way of that collecting is going to be extinct with the Generation X. That's my prediction. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Only somebody knows.
Yeah, nobody really knows. I do think at some point, for sure, it'll phase out. With floppy issue collecting and things like that. But at the same time, like you said, I think that maybe there will still be people who. I wonder what level of key is going to drop off. That's what I wonder. Like you said, Action Comics #1, I think, will always be celebrated, even 50 years from now, when kids don't even know what paper is. They'll still recognize this as a piece of American history. But I wonder what level of key it matters up to, right? Where it's like AF-15, I still think maybe, because I still think that they'll enjoy Spider-Man, and then it's like, maybe Hulk 181s, and then what level of key will people care about? Spawn #1s? I don't know. That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be other stuff that we don't even consider important now that might be important in the future. I mean, there's always going to be variations of that, but I just think the bulk hoarder collecting that you see right now,
yeah,
that's going to go extinct. I really do, because people are in digital.
Yeah.
Why are you going to keep an entire room or an entire garage, an entire basement full of comics that may be worth $1 or $2 or $5 a piece, and take up all your valuable real estate? Because real estate is worth a lot more than comics are. I don't care how many comics you have, unless you have an entire basement full of Grails. Your real estate is worth way more than that as far as taking up that space. So there's going to be a dollar cost analysis. It's good. There you go. The chart.
Yeah, we can chart it out, like how as the values, and then the people's age and the cross section. But I think you're right. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a point. It just is that 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 40 years from now? Who knows?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Maybe my kids will know. I don't know. So you don't want to be YouTube famous. You don't want to be YouTube rich. You're doing it for the love.
Sure. I mean, I would be YouTube rich. Of course, if it was like, oh, I'll be YouTube rich, I'll be YouTube rich. Why wouldn't I? But it's really more a matter of, okay, like how do I work within the space that works for me at the moment? And I think I'm trying to think of not taking it one day at a time, but I'll say just thinking one week, 1 month out at a time.
So do you consider yourself to be an introvert or extrovert?
I can be both, like a lot of people. I think that I don't know.
Because I've noticed this from a lot of people that make their YouTube channels. Either they're doing it because they love the attention, or they're doing it to break out of a shell, to make themselves more comfortable speaking publicly and that kind of thing. I rarely see that middle ground of somebody that just like, I have nothing better to do, I'm going to make a video. Like, it's usually something that's driving them from one end or the other. It's either you're shy, you see other people doing it, you're saying, hey, maybe I could do it myself. Maybe I could do something along those lines. Or you're like, I'm the freaking best thing on earth. Everybody wants to see me, so I'm going to keep doing it. So it's like which of those two
Mhm.
uh, uh opposites would you more categorize yourself as?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know because I would say that. So it sounds like when I started, it would have been for the attention thing because and attention maybe has like a bad, it feels bad, or at least it's framed bad. But where I'm coming at it from
It's
is it's more
truthful.
of like a, hey, we're in 2020, we're in COVID, we're not seeing people, feeling lonely. Let's connect with some people that we can connect with over things that we like. And so
Wait,
I think
hold on. Speaking of lonely, is the Swaggle available? Should we put down your number for dates right now? Or
no, there is a Mrs. Swag. There's a Mrs. Swag.
sorry, no swag for you people.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
But
go ahead.
I don't know if it's called if that's really the attention, but it is like trying to find connections, right, and fill that. And then that was really really fun. And so now where the motivation comes from is like I don't know. People are like, hey, where's the Swaggle video? You gotta make something. Actually, nobody actually cares. Nobody's waiting for it. But there's this sense
Well,
that
I assure you that if you go a period of time without putting one on, you will get those calls, and you will get people um saying, "What happened? Are you okay?"
yeah, that's true. There
It's
might be
funny
a
how
couple
it
people that
happens.
say
Have
like,
you
hey,
ever gone through a period where you didn't make a video for an extended period of time without notifying anybody? Just like you went for a couple weeks without making a video? Other than the beginning.
well, yes, and no. Yeah, like sometime in the beginning, I'm sure I think that there were times that I've done like 2 weeks. I think is probably the longest gaps. But I've also done stuff where it's like I filmed a couple videos and then like preset them, and then I myself didn't film anything for like a month. So like there's been some of those types of times.
No, I'm talking about you not being seen with something new since you took off.
It's been, I'd say, 2 or 3 weeks is the longest gaps.
Without even pre-recorded stuff or anything like that.
Yeah.
Wow. So and you didn't get all the are you alive? Are you okay? You didn't get all that stuff? I'm
Uh,
sure you must. I'm
you
sure
know
you
what?
must.
Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe I'm wrong about 2 weeks. Maybe it was a pre-recorded one in there. I
Yeah,
have to
I don't remember
your
you ever
question.
going that long.
I have not gotten the "Hey Swag, where'd you go?" comments. I have
It
not
can't.
gotten.
It couldn't be that long because I get your notifications,
Yeah.
and sometimes I can't even keep up with your videos because you put them up and then I cluster watch them. I'm like a Netflix guy. I like to
Right.
sit and binge watch things. So I don't think I could remember any time period in recent history where you haven't put something up.
That's
If not,
probably.
if not every single week, at the very latest, the every other week.
Yeah,
You-
I think that
you-
that's probably accurate. I think you're right. I think I'm confusing like having pre-recorded stuff
because the
with.
community starts to take a ownership of you in some way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, where's my swaggle? Why haven't you been on?
Well, yeah, I get that because I feel the same way about other random YouTube channels that I watch that I follow, like even outside of comic books, right? Where it's like all of a sudden this person disappears. I'm like, hey, where'd you go? I need this,
Well, speaking of other channels, what are your inspirations as far as what do you enjoy? I mean, you could tell me some comic related stuff as well, but overall, what do you enjoy watching on YouTube?
Oh, well, I definitely watch a lot of the comic book stuff. I
Like
definitely
what
watch.
channels? What would you say that are
Oh,
swaggle worthy?
uh, you know, uh, Como comic books, Bry's comics, Automatic comics. Uh, Everyone's got great channels. I've watched your streams. I've watched actual Dracula streams. I've watched Kamikaze. I watch. I don't know who else. Everybody. I've seen newbie comics. I watch.
What's happened to Newbie?
He's around.
He's been so inconsistent lately.
Oh yeah. Well, I think he started a new job, and then he got busy with that, and he's trying to figure out his new schedule. I talk to him every pretty regularly.
As long as he's doing all right, because I know that he pops. Lately he's been popping up again, but he had a long hiatus.
He did have a longer hiatus for sure. For
I
sure.
thought he finally got that first Iron Man and said, "Screw this! I don't need to do this
Yeah,
anymore."
he's like, I'm done. I win. I
Mission
win.
accomplished.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great YouTube channels. I tend to watch most people's. I feel like.
You know what? Whether you like to watch everything or not, I think because of the notifications that we get and all the suggestions that we get, you get pulled in by things all the time. You'll be watching something, your regular programming, all of a sudden you see this other random thing come out. Be like, all right, let me see what this is all about. And all of a sudden you got another channel that you're watching.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what YouTube does, So, and then I have like my other interests and hobbies stuff. Like I watch some film channels, and I watch some golfing channels. I'm trying to get back into golfing, so things like that people in the chat don't really care about.
Well, hey, everybody's got their hobbies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some people in the chat do care about that, but this kind of stuff I watch, they're out of that. I watch a lot of weird indie stuff, stuff that is very obscure. Documentaries I like to watch.
I watch that too. I like the tinfoil hat stuff. There's a great channel called the Y Files that's always entertaining. They talk about like alien stories and stuff. Super good. Highly
don't get the chat started, please, with the aliens, because the last two Insomniacs were all about aliens. And
dude, I've been thinking, I'm like, man, I need the Kool-Aid idea, but I was like, there's so much alien stuff going on right now. I feel like I need to make a video talking about aliens, but how does that relate to comic books?
Yeah, just watch one of the Insomniacs, because you see how fast you go down the weird black hole of insanity of paranormal activity and aliens. And it gets knocked off of comics real fast.
It does. It
You
has to be like a top 10 alien covers video or something like that.
That you probably could come up with some really good stuff. There's been some really dynamite alien stuff, especially if you go back to the 50s.
Yeah, definitely.
They might have been some of the best covers back then for that stuff.
That's true. And I do actually think it feels like you've had the pre-code horror, kind of wave and craze and things like that, but like the pre-code science stuff, and it doesn't feel like it's had its heyday yet.
No, it hasn't, and it will come. It will come. Like, you have a lot of people that are waiting for the westerns to come back and stuff like that, and they might make a slight bump again.
Yeah,
but they won't have longevity.
Yeah.
Sci-fi stuff has some legs.
Well, the question, maybe there's the question I wonder is there alien spec? For seeing all these aliens in culture right now, are all of a sudden people going to be like, oh, aliens? Let me pick up that alien book that I want. Alien FOMO.
It's gonna come. It's only inevitable. I'm surprised it took this long for people like the masses to really jump onto the horror covers.
Yeah.
Because I was always a big fan of the horror covers, and I got so pissed when everything started going high because I'm like, now I can't afford it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the market can only look in so many directions. There's so much noise, especially with like MCU stuff or like DC stuff or whatever. And then it was like there was that window where like horror was finally like, okay, now we're all looking at horror stuff. But it's tunnel vision with the comic market. Now all we care about is the authority.
Well, are you speculating? Are you hoarding long boxes full of the authority right now?
No. I will. If I'm out in the wild and I see a copy and it's being sold for $1 or whatever, like of course I'm going to buy it. But I'm not going to buy it off of eBay with the anticipation that by the time the movie comes out, I'm going to be a millionaire. Like that's not really how I collect. Because I still got, even if I'm specking on something, I still have to like it. And I don't have any emotional attachment to the authority. Maybe I will when their movie comes out.
Yeah. So if you find it cheap, you're like, I'll grab it. And when it pops, I'll sell it or something like that.
Yeah.
I basically do the same thing a lot of times. So
yeah.
And it's a nice way to keep it keeps the interest going a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's not fun when you just keep draining money out of your pocket over and over and over again, and then never see something come back out of it. It's nice to once in a while sell something off, get some money back, put it back in. Just do a little bit of it's more fun like that. Or like stock trading.
Yeah. I think it is fun, and I always say, like, the Marie Kondo, if you know who she is, or like the spring cleaning aspect. You just look
Mhm.
through your stuff. Okay, what still brings you joy? What are you like? Maybe I don't need this as this one anymore. There's
You
nothing
had a
wrong.
whole video about that.
What's that?
You had a whole video about that.
Yeah. So it's like, just what do you want to sell, and then fill it with something new that you like. And I think that's good. It just keeps the revolving door going.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think everybody and their mother know what your favorite Grail was to pick up, which I think is Avengers #1. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's changed. No, right? It's still
No,
Avengers #1.
it's still, yeah. As far as like a Marvel book, I know I'm weird. Well, Darkhawk #1 obviously is my
No, well, yes, we're not touching Darkhawk.
yeah.
But as
Yeah,
far as something that the simpletons could understand, Avengers #1.
yeah. It's still a book that I attach a lot of memories to, and things like that. I was even one of the weird kids who, back in the day, even though at the time when I was like a kid and Avengers was out, it was like the weird team with like Black Knight and Cersei and Hercules, like all those characters that nobody cared about. But like, I always just thought they were kind of cool because, from my perspective, I was like, oh, I'm getting more characters when I read the Avengers versus if I read Spider-Man, I only get one character. So my logic was, I'm getting more bang for my buck when I read team books.
It's funny. I looked at it very similar that way. I mean, we're very alike like that as well, as far as enjoying the Avengers as kids,
Yeah.
because Avengers and the Hulk were my two favorite comics growing up. Avengers because the Hulk was in it, even though he wasn't in the majority of them.
Yeah.
He was Hulk. He was Hulk approved as far as the Avengers were concerned. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like that whole concept. I like the team concept. And the other thing, as a kid, Avengers were super affordable to buy back issues of.
Yeah. Nobody cared about it.
I could go and buy 12-cent copies of books for $5 in the back bins, $3, $2. I got books in my collection that I have the original comic sticker on there from the LCS for $2 on there. And it
Yeah.
blows me away. It
It's
blows
so
me away.
crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah, I think, but feel like it just has a lot to do with like I was saying, with like, you got to the point with like Black Knight and Cersei, and clearly there was a point in Marvel like editorial where they were like, all right, what characters are not selling well? Let's just throw them on the Avengers, because it's like, it's probably too hard for them to manage. Like, okay, well, obviously Captain America's comic is doing pretty well, and Iron Man's comic is doing well, and well, we can't juggle their continuity with them also on the Avengers team. So let's make Wasp the leader of the Avengers for now. So you can see that was kind of like how they just dealt with the roster that needed it. I have a lot of correlation of, like, I don't know if you're like a WWF fan or WWE or whatever, but it would always be like, okay, this star is not really working. Let's put him on a tag team with this guy, and all of a sudden they're now like a tag team. I felt like that's kind of how they managed the Avengers team as well. But I like
exactly how they did it. 100%. I've read a lot of interviews as well from some of the creators, and they basically had Avengers as the testing grounds for a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Or the limbo for some characters as well, where they just didn't know what to do with them, and they just threw them out. They did that to She-Hulk for years.
Right. And I thought that was fun. I thought it was kind of fun to read about the less popular characters.
For some of them, I really wish they never put them in there, but that's a different story. Who was your worst Avenger ever?
Oh man, who is the worst Avenger ever? Well, for a time, I feel like Black Knight was probably that for me, but I feel like there's probably been worse ones, like, since then.
I got one singular one that's the worst for me.
Oh no! Oh, you go first. Maybe it'll help me.
Gilgamesh.
Oh, Gilgamesh, Eternals Gilgamesh.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Why?
Pretty bad.
Why do we need Gilgamesh in the Avengers?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm now thinking. Yeah, wasn't he like wearing like a kind of like a Greek robe? His character design was like different than it was.
Yeah, why? Why?
I don't know.
Everything was a why with him.
Yeah.
Why does he exist here? Why is he in the Avengers? Why is he wearing a toga? Why is he not with the Eternals? Why? Why? There was so many whys. I couldn't. It was making my freaking brain blow up. And I also didn't like the fact that the Avengers kept rejecting Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was probably their way of just being like, we can't put Spider-Man in the Avengers. He's got the number one selling title. He's got to do his own thing.
He would have had the Avengers selling a lot more if he was on there, but
that is actually, you're right. That is true. It would have definitely sold more. But yeah, that Gilgamesh team, around that, it was probably around the 90s when you had like Cersei in there as well. There was some pretty bad. There was like Rage, that character Rage.
Oh my God, he was horrible too.
I don't know anything about that character. I just clearly he's not that popular because you never see
a bumblebee mask, right?
Yeah,
he looked like one of the killer bees.
Rage was that guy. Like that guy seemed cheesy and terrible too. Even as a kid, I was like, "Who's this guy?"
Not as bad as Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was bad.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
You can't come up with one that was your most hated person.
I mean, I feel like
let's turn it around. Who was your favorite Avenger ever?
My favorite probably was Captain America. Just like he's in my top characters, and he, to me, he was always sort of represented the leader of the best version of the best team.
You can't go wrong with America.
Yeah,
America's ass. You got to follow that. That's Captain America.
And apparently, with these Ant-Man reviews that are coming in right now, they're going to need to dust them off as soon as possible.
You're going tomorrow, right?
I am going to go tomorrow. Yeah, that's right.
Did you end up picking a winner for that contest?
I did. I did pick two winners, and I reached out to them, and so I got two people coming with me from the comic book community. I'm excited.
You are still naive. Not only do you send your comics off to people, now you're going to meet random crazy people.
Okay, Bry's gonna, I'm gonna let Bry meet them first. I'll stand behind him, and he'll be the guinea pig. He'll be the canary in the coal mine.
He'll bring all the slabs to protect himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Slab castle.
He's bringing the books. He's got the giveaways, and drinks are on him. So he'll get his wallet.
You guys got a set of balls to honestly do that. I don't know if I would be okay meeting with a random set of winners.
Yeah. Well, luckily, and this is just, total transparency. I just went into the comic picker and I picked him. But luckily, there are two people who, one, they've commented regularly on my channel, and then two, I found them on Instagram, and I was like, okay, you're a real person, so at least I have your Instagram. So that counts for something.
Oh yeah, because Instagram is the
well, at least their faces are on it. All right, their faces are on it. We're going to a public place. What's the worst that could happen?
Don't get me started, guys. Do a prayer for Brian and for Swagglehaus.
This might be the last content piece I make, guys. So it was fun. It was fun.
Please videotape the whole thing as they're coming towards you.
Yeah, I'll be on stream. We'll do face records,
and literally go on like a quick live stream. And be like, okay, I'm about to meet the people. In case I get killed, call 911 and just see them coming towards you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. But maybe. I don't know. But I'm sure it'll be fine. But you got a lot of balls to do that. I don't think I would do that. I really don't think I have the nerve to do that.
Look, it was Bry's idea, so let's all blame him if things go south.
Bry's full of great ideas. He just gave away $1,000. He got screwed with the random. Did you see his thing that he did on Whatnot?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
he basically thought he was going to give away maybe one or two comics or something like that. Ended up the randomizer ended up hitting all of them.
Yeah, I know.
He ended up giving all the big prizes away. He gave $1,000.
All of his giveaways backfire. He like tipped the pizza girl whatever that was.
I haven't watched that one yet.
You'll see. Anything that he gives away ends up backfiring against him. So
he released that today. Just in case everybody doesn't know what we're talking about, Swagglehaus and Bry did a giveaway on their channels where the winners, lucky winners, were actually gonna join them to go see the premiere of Ant-Man and the Wasp tomorrow.
And it's like a
And
fan event. There's maybe a little bit of pomp and circumstance there at the event. It'll be fun. It's a cool
it
theater.
should be
So
really, really cool.
yeah.
Really, really cool. So, and I think anybody that won that would probably appreciate that a lot more than any comic or anything like that you would give away. That's an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be fun. I mean, or it's going to make them sad because they're going to realize that their Avengers 8 is not worth anything after they watch the movie.
Hey, I got Avenger 8, please. I
Yeah.
got Avenger 8 and I got 3 copies of Avengers 10. I don't, my gazillions are dissipating it by the moment.
I know. Just all the unrealized gains are just evaporating.
Yeah, geez. You know what? People had too much hope. Like, what were your expectations? I know that you've read the reviews and you heard the reviews. It's been spoiled to you, like no tomorrow already.
I'm curious. I don't know, like all the spoilers. I've kept it somewhat at an arm's reach because I want to at least try to give it a fair shake when I watch it tomorrow. I do wonder. All right, either it's going to be a complete train wreck, and it really is as bad as people say. I also do sort of wonder if it's like, how like with all like the the wokeness aspect and stuff. And I never really get into this whole thing, but like there was a time when like some of the wokeness stuff like prevented people from criticizing the MCU properly, like in terms of like their views and stuff. And I just wonder now if it's like, it's like safer to criticize the MCU now after like Thor: Love and Thunder, I feel like was the first movie that was kind of safe to criticize. I wonder if it's like, I just wonder if the reviews for this are people are more easily expressing their like, hatred towards the MCU now, but actually it's probably, which doesn't say much, it's probably on the same level as like Thor: Love and Thunder. You know what I mean? Probably just kind of a whatever movie. And
well, do you think people are having false expectations going into all these movies? Like, are they expecting for something that just isn't going to happen? Like, what do people want now? Like, I'm trying to understand. Like, are they expecting to see an Infinity Gauntlet? Because they're not going to see that because that's already been done.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I always go into a movie, and I work in film, so I'm on the one hand super critical, but on the other hand, I'm also super forgiving because I know how hard it is. But at the same time, it's like if you're not hitting like basic like story structures and like setups and payoffs and things like that, and just basic like scene to scene continuity, like what is going on? So I think I don't know if people's expectations are too high, or if it's like objectively it's just so you just go in and you're like, it's just not good. Like the execution is just not good. That could be.
I felt like that with Black Panther too.
Yeah,
Love and Thunder I thought was horrendous, but
that?
Love and Thunder I thought was horrendous as far as just giving mixed messages out there.
Yeah,
they weren't true to the characters. It was a lot of mixed messages came out from Love and Thunder. So that was like a big cluster that got me confused. I walked away. I didn't know what to think of it when I saw that. But Black Panther, I just knew I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I just didn't like it.
I didn't really like Black Panther all that much either. Like I don't really do like movie reviews and stuff, but like I probably would give it like a 6 out of 10. It was like, just wasn't that, I mean, fun. Obviously, if it's like fun is not the right word, but like I don't know. Like my criticism, I think, with the MCU is like they just lack like any sort of deep.
But you just hit it on the head with Black Panther.
What's
Black
that?
Panther? Most of the people that went to see Black Panther 1 had zero expectations.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So when they saw it, actually had a decent premise. Cinematically, it was done well. I can't say anything negative as far as the you could be nitpicky about things, but overall, it was a nice film.
Yeah.
So when you go in thinking like this is gonna suck or and you're like, hey, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, you walk away giving major reviews.
Yeah.
Now everybody went in with those same kind of expectations going into Black Panther 2, thinking, hey, this is gonna surprise me too. No, it's not surprising anybody. It's surprising everybody how bad it was.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. I feel like the MCU. What was great about the MCU is it really felt like, at least when it started, and some of the high points, Is it was like, oh wow, finally this company is executing superhero movies at a level that is like the best version that they could be. And like comic book fans, we were just so blown away. Like, not only is it like, oh, this is Iron Man 1 is a great movie. It's like you did like the best interpretation, like pulling some of the things from the comics, but then like modernizing it perfectly for a movie audience and doing all that stuff. And I feel like there's still sort of that little hope and expectation that these movies are going to be like not just on the level of Venom 2. You know what I mean? Like they're not just like Morbius, like they're not that level. It's like you guys are supposed to do the what superhero movies are supposed to be.
You're supposed to be something everybody else is chasing.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to compete with. They're not supposed to compete with you. They're supposed to be try to get as good as you are. And they lost that along the line. I mean,
yeah, they definitely lost it. And it seems like, now like you guys are just now on the level of whatever Sony is putting out or whatever, DC was putting out, and that's disappointing.
Although DC did some great animation.
Oh, their animation is amazing.
I wish they just stuck to the animation. It would have been if they stuck to the animation. I don't think anybody would have had any negative things. I mean, you're always going to have the negative sayers, but their animation, 90% of it that came out in the past decade was really good.
Yeah,
really solid, really good.
Yeah,
real bugs, but the rest were like really sharp, really good stuff.
There's so many things that it's just like, just adapt what you did there. Excuse me. Just take like the Justice League animated series and use that as your roadmap. For the James Gunn DC universe. I feel like that would be a shoo-in.
You have faith in Gunn?
Yeah, in the movies he does. I do have faith in him, but
I'm talking about being the mastermind behind DC.
I wonder if it's I think that for the first few projects, assuming he has like carte blanche and full creative control, I think that he's going to do a really great job. But these companies, these studios become like victims of their own success, and as soon as like more producers get involved and all this stuff happens, then it's like now James Gunn has to manage teams and creatives and producers and studio notes and all that. And I think that like with Feige, it just gets away from you at a certain point.
Well, corporates can get their fingers on it as soon as it's successful and say, you know what, we could cut corners from here. We could cut corners from here. We could do this. We could do that. And they're going to meddle. And the other thing is, Gunn has been proven to do individual projects.
Yeah.
And he's done them well. Not everything he's done is good. If you look at his whole resume, not everything is great.
Yeah.
But overall, the superhero stuff has been okay. It's been good.
Yeah. You can tell that he cares.
He's never had a situation where he had to oversee everything.
Yeah.
So how good is he going to be when he's stretched out like an octopus?
Exactly.
That's what I'm worried about.
It is. It's like it's one of those things. Like just because he's a great player doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a great coach or a great GM, right? It's like a different thing. And so clearly, in the projects that he is heavily involved in, where he's putting his creative energy into it, for the most part, he's done extremely well, if not exceptional. But you're right. Like once you start to have to like manage and puppeteer it, if you're not writing the script, if you're not doing all of the creative for it, is it really going to be up to your level? I'm not so sure.
Well, just think of this comparison. Jon Favreau was getting accolades like nobody else when he first hit with Iron Man.
Yeah.
And he really got involved. What happened to him when he started taking on more responsibilities?
Yeah. Well, I think who knows what actually happened to him. He probably got phased out a little bit, or, he got more interested in Star Wars or whatever the case was. But clearly, like him being kind of the shepherd of the whole thing, like it went in a different direction than he did.
Well, wasn't he the flavor of the month, similar to what Gunn is right now?
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That's the comparison I'm looking at directly.
I see.
And if they take a guy like Favreau, who is a very, very talented individual, and they kind of could phase him out and kind of get corporate more involved, they're going to do the same thing with a gun.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
For sure.
different companies, but the same logic.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you get involved with these big conglomerates. It's not a little movie studio that it's not a little Lionsgate or something like that. Well, Lionsgate's not little anymore, but you know what I'm saying. These smaller movie studios that they take craft and love into whatever they're doing, and then once they get bought out by the bigger conglomerates that swallow them up, they get corporatized, and then it changes.
Yeah.
It changes. And I'm a big proponent of progress, and I don't mind corporations running companies and that kind of thing. But as long as you let the companies grow and thrive, it's when you just take that taking care of the stockholders mentality that kind of generalizes the product. It kind of makes it generic, and it hurts it. It really hurts it. When you're worried about the whole woke thing, like you were talking about before, and that kind of stuff, and you're not worried about the collective of the global, because this is a global business. It's looking at the entire world. You're not worried about one sector only. You're worried about the entire world, how they're going to be watching it. You're worried about China. You're worried about the U.S. You're worried about Europe. You're worried about every single part of the globe that could actually continue to bring you revenue. You shouldn't be getting caught up into social concepts and stuff like that. Just putting out a good product that the general public will like.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's what happens. You know, these movies get like death by a thousand cuts. You know, where you have all these producers and executives and people have, you know, their own goals and their own things that they want to inject in the movies, or they point to, you know, best practices or big data. And it's like, oh, we need this. And hey, you know, we would like to incorporate this sponsorship into this. And then all of a sudden you have to shoehorn in these scenes to appease, you know, some other studio note. And, you know, and with all of these sort of concessions you have to make along the way, you just lose a little bit of the spirit of the film. And that's just what's inevitable about the corporate filmmaking side of it. So with James Gunn, if he has full creative control and it's just him and his creatives and they're just doing stuff and left on an island to do what they want to do, it'll be good for a while. But then, you know, once corporate gets involved, that's the end of it.
And the other thing is, any average human being goes through dry spells.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I mean, he has to execute, right? Like, and this is assuming that, yeah, everything he does.
It's normal.
Yeah.
We're human beings. Picasso went through his period where he was just putting crap together. Yeah. And then there was other parts where he was a genius.
Yeah, he might go on a cold streak all of a sudden, you know?
I mean, we're human. It happens. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't go through that anytime soon. Let him at least get some good products out first. We'll see what's happening. But I just saw the time. I mean, we've been on here for a little bit, and I think we could probably talk for another 2 hours if necessary. But and I'm sure we should do that at another time. But I don't want to keep you on here forever. You seem like you're a working man, and you want to get yourself settled in and get yourself to bed and go to work in the morning, that kind of like a normal human being, you know, not like a degenerate insomniacs. So I'm gonna give the opportunity to the chat to ask any questions. Maybe we'll take a couple questions if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
and we'll see that. So, people, here's your opportunity.
Any questions?
Don't answer no questions, and I won't tell you no lies.
Hey Lord, don't ask me questions. Hey Lord, don't ask me questions, please.
What do you want? What do you want from us? To ask you this much is just a matter of trust, not an affront. What do you want?
And that was your copyright claim for the night, YouTube. You're welcome. So here's your opportunity, people. If you got any questions for Swagglehaus, now's the time to ask them. In the meantime, I think we hit a lot of them as we're going. I was reading things and adding them into the conversation. Regardless, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. But do you have anything really big coming up as far as the channel is concerned, or it's things you're involved with in the upcoming weeks?
Well, the big thing will be the Kickstarter I have going for the comic book. But when that rolls around, I will definitely be putting all that together. Let's see here. Will Kickers incorporate number one ever be included in the Modern Age Index?
You see any future for New Universe?
What is Kickers incorporated number one?
Oh my God, you don't know New Universe comics? The
No.
the brand that Marvel made during the 80s in order to start new and bring in new heroes and new titles and everything. It was
Whoa, wait a minute. This is beyond me.
Really?
What is this?
Oh, I need to educate you.
Yeah, please.
It was a set of books that they actually created in the 80s in order to bring some life into Marvel, bring some youth, and it was a little bit of an answer to what DC was doing with their Crisis books, where they try to like change up the continuity and like getting young people in. Well, they decided they wanted to bring in brand new characters without disturbing the continuity of the old regime. So they brought in books like Kickers number one. What was the other books that they had in there? Psy. If you ever seen that book, Psy number Merc. What obscure titles? They had so many obscure titles that came out. Starbrand. That was one of the few ones that actually lasted.
Starbrand, I know, yeah.
But that came out during that New Universe. They're all branded New Universe.
Interesting. Okay.
Horrendous. When I tell you horrendous books, if you want to collect books just for the novelty of them and a really cheap collection, that's their collection to get. I think there might be only a handful of them that are worth anything more than a few pennies. And that's only because there's something else significant about them. You see the significance. The like Marvel Borders and that kind of thing. But other than that, they're horrible. I'm telling you.
Right.
I'm shocked that you didn't know New Universe.
Yeah, I that one is beyond me. I definitely missed that one, but I can't answer the question. If Kinkers Inc. number one isn't in the top 100 sold books, then it should be. It wouldn't be included in the Modern Age Index. It would have to be. There would have to be a high enough volume for it to qualify.
I think we should have a top 100 unloved books.
Yeah. That would be interesting, as an index. The line might be really flat for a long time.
We'll see where that goes. So Tony says, Swag, in your line of work, have you worked with any major movie studios? And if so, what was your experience with them? I think it's a great question.
Yeah. I have done work with some bigger studios, some major ones for sure. And it all just kind of depends, like the specific people that I've kind of interacted with. I mean, a lot of times I've been fortunate where the ones that I've worked with, I've been shielded enough, like from like a creator's perspective, to where I didn't have to do too many of the like higher up discussion meeting things. But it's always interesting. It's always good. There are times when, you have to do calls with like 40 people on them. And you're just like, what do all these people do here at the studio? But you do it, and it's interesting. It's its own sort of skill set. And sometimes I think about like with the people who are doing like the Marvel stuff, which I'm sure we're all interested in, or DC as we talk about, like so much of that art, from the writers and the directors and the creatives that are doing it, or like what James Gunn has to do is, so much of like his skill set is going to have to be not just executing the films, but navigating all of the interpersonal relationships, of the studios. And that's an art into itself, which makes it really difficult.
Here's a question that's related, actually. Do you still see people actually do physical storyboards in movie sets?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You still actually do them like that, or is it all digital now?
I see what you're saying. I think most of them are digital, although people still are in the habit of printing them out, and putting them up on the corkboard and stuff. But like in the storyboard artists that I've worked with, a lot of them do it like maybe like how a lot of comic artists do, where I'll meet with them, we're talking, and they'll just do quick sketches, like block figures, just so that they understand what the blocking is, and then they'll go off into their own devices and get on the stylus and do it digitally and stuff.
So some things change, but they stay the same.
Yeah.
So has Miss Swag came around on lower grade comics yet?
You know, for Pete's, you know what they say? Chicks dig the high grades. That's the saying. Chicks dig the long ball, chicks dig the high grades.
You know, Pete, why'd you have to ask a question like that?
Stupid question, that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
You know, you ask a question like that, and Trump comes out every time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, I thought I put him away for the rest of the show. He comes in the beginning of it. Now you had to pull him out. All right,
He bookends the show.
That's, I guess, how that works. But I think that's basically the roundabout of the questions. But you were saying that you're getting ready to unveil that Kickstarter, and I think I'm kind of excited about hearing about it.
Yeah. I'm hoping it goes well. I mean, maybe no one, we'll see how it happens. But yeah, I have like some marketing stuff that I'll do, and I'll do like the announcements on my channel and stuff. I'm just waiting for like a couple little things before I can really launch it. But yeah, probably in the next few weeks for sure.
Do you have any recognizable names that are attached to it that are going to be involved?
I have a few, I have a few variant covers that have been done for it, which is kind of cool and exciting. And a couple artists that are somewhat notable, like Sean Chen, if you know who he is. He did like Iron Man. He was working on it when the Winter Guard was there. I think Kurt Busiek was writing that run. And he's done a lot of great work in the industry. Lucas Kettner, who is currently working on the Crowley book, which is an Image comic book, I think. So there's some people that are just, they're out there. No Todd McFarlane or anything like that, but
but actually people that have been in the industry. That's
cool. Very, very talented people that I was really fortunate to reach out to, and they're willing.
Very
to
cool and very exciting. Are you going to be one of these egomaniacs and actually make a variant comic with you swinging from a pole, dressed in a Spider-Man costume?
Nah, sadly, no. I did not incorporate myself into the variant cover. Maybe that would have been fun though, but I don't know. I feel like
I've noticed that's the trend. That's why I'm asking. I've been seeing a lot more creators or people that are backing books and that kind of thing actually making those variant covers with somehow them being incorporated in that cover, which I don't have anything against it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Hitchcockian thing, which is
but it is a kind of ego thing. Like look at me. I'm on that freaking comic. It's my comic, but I think I would do the same thing. But
yeah, well, I think it's cool. I think it depends on like what it is, right? Like to me, it's like it's partly a Swagglehaus comic, but it's also really like a Mickey comic. So it wouldn't make sense for me to put a Swagglehaus thing in front of it. At least that's my perspective. But I feel like
what the great thing is now. Now that Disney is losing the rights to Mickey Mouse, you could use a Mickey Mouse with your face on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
make your own little Mickey Mouse Swagglehaus character.
Absolutely.
So apparently Pete's question was attached to something else because she said that his
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We there's a joke on the channel. 2.5 or lower is not.
Yeah, I know. See, Trump, you jumped to conclusions. It was not a stupid question, but you jumped to conclusions.
This is the problem with comic book collecting today. Nobody actually cares about the book anymore. All they care about is the number in the upper left corner.
Well, it's like a lot of things.
Yeah,
a lot of things in life. People care about numbers.
They do.
Hey, it's how the world works. People like to know how high they are in the echelon of things. Think about it like this: when you do your Kickstarter, are you going to feel the same if you sell 100 copies or 1,000 copies or 10,000 copies?
Yeah, that's true.
There's different levels of happiness. That's
true. Hopefully we at least sell one copy and it's not my mom that bought it. You know what I mean? That's the bar.
You got to have the second copy sold. Then you'll be okay.
Two. Let's go for two.
No, I'm definitely sure that you'll do very, very well with it, and we're looking forward to it. You're going to be doing your regular content going forward. I'm assuming no changes to your programming as far as your indexes and you've been hitting a lot of Comic Cons lately as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep that going, and I definitely, I always love being able to attend the Comic Cons and try to make some content when I'm there. So that for sure will happen whenever the big shows come up.
Okay, so before we let off, I'm going to ask you one stupid generic question that everybody asks. I try to stay away from all the generic questions that everybody and their mother asks everybody, but I'll ask one question. What's the book you're hunting for right now? What is that one book that you desire and crave more than anything else in this world right now to be able to pick up?
The big book that
it always not with money being object within your limitations.
Right. Well, okay. The big book that I'm always looking for, and I'm hoping maybe at this year I'll be able to get my hands on is a Tales of Suspense 39, a first Iron Man. That's the big one that I'd love to be able to get. Of course, the price has got to be right. The deal's got to be there. It's got to be the right book. So I'm going to wait for that one.
And it's gonna be it's got to be a higher grade than Newbies.
Yeah, it does have to be a higher grade than Newbies. That is very important. That's
you
actually
need to get a higher grade than Newbies so you can shove it in the face and say, hey, look at me.
Yeah, and then the other book that's maybe not quite that level, but just a kind of a fun one is I'm looking for that Stan Lee signed Darkhawk 1. I don't love or I'm not obsessed with signatures.
Does that exist?
It does exist. They do exist. I don't know how many copies there are. I would probably say that there's probably a handful, but
you just opened up another wormhole. Now I can't handle this thing. Did Stan Lee have anything to do with that comic?
Well, no. I mean, it's just a Marvel comic, but
So why do you want him to sign it?
Because it represents Darkhawk 1 obviously represents my nostalgia favorite character.
I get that.
Stan Lee represents the head of the comic who kind of created this world I've enjoyed for so many years. So I just kind of feel like that's a perfect embodiment of what I love about the comics.
That I can never understand. I'm too old school to understand. I want the comics that I have signed by the actual person that wrote it or drew it.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Jack Kirby.
He does have a hand in it. I mean, I suppose he's a executive producer of the comic book.
Was he even a producer at that time? I don't think he was even involved with Marvel at that
true.
time.
Yeah, I'd have to.
I think you're reaching, dude. I think you're reaching.
I
get it. I get
don't rail shame me. Okay. It's just I think it would be cool.
It would be cool. Listen, any Stan Lee signature is cool, even if it's on a Darkhawk. It will be cool. But I can't believe you like Darkhawk.
I think it would just be appropriate, right? If Swagglehaus had that one.
You know what? If anybody in this world deserves to have a star, it's the Darkhawk signed by Stan Lee. It should be you.
That's right. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
You know what? Put Neil Adams' signature on there too, as well, and you'll be golden.
I can do with that. Yeah, I'll do with that. I don't think that one exists.
Oh, you don't want that?
I would go on a limb and say that probably doesn't exist.
No, but no, that's what? That's a cool novelty to have. I really do think any Stan Lee signature you could have is a great signature to have.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're going to end the show, people. I hope you all enjoyed it. I appreciate you so much, Swaggle, for spending your time. We spent basically 2 hours together.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You didn't eject. You didn't run off. You didn't say anything foul. I think this might be the first fully PG interview that we have without even one word that might put us into the R rating. So
man, I gotta get some controversies going on my channel. That's my takeaway after speaking.
Listen, you be you, man. Be
Yeah,
you.
I
think people love you being you. You're one of the, I think, most loved people in the community, and stay that way. Don't change. On that note, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Have an awesome weekend. Hope you don't spend too much money on that crappy movie that everybody's going to watch on the weekend. And if you do, make the best of it. Get some popcorn, enjoy it, and don't get too hard hurt if it's horrible. And hopefully, we're all pleasantly surprised by it. And then we are out of here. Can't wait to hear your reviews, Swaggle. So good night, everybody. All right, how the hell do you turn this thing off?